There's something dangerous about tomorrow. Tomorrow sounds polite. Tomorrow feels safe. Tomorrow tells you you've got time. But tomorrow is a liar, because while you're waiting, life is moving, and it doesn't wait for permission. Every minute you hesitate, every hour you delay, something is being taken from you quietly, your potential, your momentum, your calling. See, procrastination doesn't kick the door down. It sneaks in, it whispers, it tells you you're not ready yet. It tells you to plan a little more, think a little longer, wait for the perfect moment. And before you know it, years pass, opportunities expire, and dreams start collecting dust like old trophies you never earned. The tragedy isn't that people fail. The tragedy is that so many never even try, not because they can't, but because they keep saying, later. Later I'll start. Later I'll change. Later I'll chase what's been calling me since I was young. But let me tell you something real. Later has buried more dreams than fear ever did. You don't need more time, you need more courage. Courage to act while you're unsure. Courage to move while you're afraid. Because the moment you stop waiting for permission, that's the moment your life starts answering back. Time is the only currency that never gives refunds, and most people spend it like they have an unlimited supply. Money can be lost and earned again, relationships can be repaired, strength can be rebuilt, but time only moves in one direction. Every second that passes is gone forever, and yet it's treated with the least respect. People guard their wallets, protect their reputations, defend their pride, but they leave their time wide open, letting it slip through their fingers without a second thought. That's where the danger begins, because once time is spent, there is no negotiation, no extension, no second receipt to prove you were owed more. What makes time so unforgiving is that it doesn't announce itself when it's about to leave. It doesn't tap you on the shoulder and say, "This is your last chance." It just keeps moving steady and silent, whether you're focused or distracted, disciplined or comfortable. You could be waiting for motivation, waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, and time will not slow down to match your pace. It keeps charging interest on your hesitation, collecting moments you assumed you could use later. And later comes with a price you didn't expect, because by the time you're ready, the window you needed may already be closed. People often say they're saving time or killing time, but the truth is, time is the one thing you can't kill without killing a part of yourself along with it. Every wasted hour is a trade, whether you realize it or not. You're trading growth for comfort, progress for familiarity, purpose for convenience. And the scariest part is that these trades feel harmless in the moment. Scrolling a little longer, delaying one more day, choosing ease over effort doesn't feel like loss, but stacked together, those moments form years, and years form a life that looks nothing like what you once imagined. Time doesn't care about your intentions. It doesn't reward good ideas or unfinished plans. It only responds to action. You can mean well, dream big, talk passionately about what you're going to do, but time only records what you actually did. It documents effort, not excuses. And when you finally look back, time shows you the truth without emotion. It doesn't judge you, but it also doesn't comfort you. It simply reflects your choices, minute by minute, day by day, until the picture is complete. That's why time is the most expensive teacher you'll ever have. It teaches through loss. It teaches through regret. It teaches through missed chances that can never be recreated. You don't feel the lesson early on because youth creates the illusion of abundance. It makes you believe there's always another shot, another season, another year to figure it out. But one day you wake up and realize the clock didn't pause while you were deciding. It kept moving, and suddenly the distance between where you are and where you want it to be feels much heavier. Respecting time means understanding its value before it's gone. It means acting when you don't feel fully prepared, starting before conditions are perfect, choosing discipline even when motivation is nowhere to be found. Because every moment you honor time, time pays you back in growth, confidence, and momentum. But every moment you dismiss it, it takes something from you quietly. Something you'll wish you had when the clock reminds you that it was never on your side, only moving forward, collecting the cost of every delay, every excuse, every moment you thought you could afford to lose. Procrastination is dangerous because it doesn't look dangerous. It doesn't arrive with alarms or consequences attached to it. It shows up calm, reasonable, even logical. It convinces you that waiting is wise, that delay is preparation, that comfort is earned. And because it feels harmless, you don't fight it. You welcome it. You tell yourself you're being patient, strategic, careful. But what you're really doing is opening the door to a thief that doesn't smash windows or leave fingerprints, a thief that steals quietly and leaves you believing nothing was taken at all. Unlike failure, procrastination doesn't bruise your ego. Failure is loud, it hurts, it forces reflection. Procrastination, on the other hand, lets you feel safe while losing ground. You don't fail publicly, you just don't move. And because nothing visibly breaks, you assume nothing is wrong. Days pass, weeks blend together. Progress stalls, but there's no dramatic collapse to wake you up. That's why it's so seductive. It allows you to stay comfortable while slowly drifting further away from the life you could be living. The real theft isn't time alone, it's momentum. Every time you delay, you weaken the habit of action. You train your mind to associate intention with an action. You teach yourself that starting is optional. Over time, this creates a pattern where thinking replaces doing, planning replaces building, and talking replaces becoming. You stay busy but unfulfilled, occupied but unproductive. And the longer this pattern continues, the harder it becomes to break, because inaction starts to feel normal, even justified. Procrastination also steals confidence in ways most people never notice. Confidence isn't built by waiting until you feel ready. It's built by acting while you're unsure and surviving the outcome. When you delay, you rob yourself of those small wins that stack into belief. You start to doubt your ability not because you failed, but because you never tested yourself. The voice in your head gets louder, questioning your discipline, your courage, your worth, and since you haven't proven it wrong through action, it starts to sound like truth. Another thing procrastination takes is clarity. People think they need clarity before they move, but clarity comes from movement. You don't discover who you are by standing still. You discover it by stepping into discomfort, by making choices, by adjusting along the way. When you delay action, confusion deepens. Doubt multiplies. The path becomes foggier, not clearer, and you mistake that fog as a sign to wait longer, when in reality it's a signal to move forward. What makes procrastination especially dangerous is that it gives you a false sense of control. It makes you feel like you're choosing the right moment, when in truth, the moment is choosing to leave without you. Opportunities don't announce their expiration dates. They simply move on to someone else who was willing to act sooner. And when you finally feel ready, you may realize the door you were standing in front of is no longer there. By the time people recognize procrastination for what it is, the damage is already done. Not because one big moment was lost, but because hundreds of small moments were surrendered willingly. That's how it steals your life, not in one dramatic act, but in quiet increments, minute by minute, decision by decision, until one day you look back and realize you were present for all of it, but absent from your own becoming. Comfort is seductive because it feels like safety. It wraps itself around you and tells you that nothing bad will happen if you stay exactly where you are. It promises rest without cost, peace without effort, stability without risk. And for a moment, it delivers. Your body relaxes, your mind quiets down, and you feel in control. But comfort has a hidden price, and it collects that price slowly over time in ways that are easy to ignore until the bill comes due. Waiting lives inside comfort. Waiting feels responsible. It tells you you're being careful, that you're avoiding mistakes, that you're giving yourself time to prepare. But discipline doesn't feel like waiting. Discipline feels like showing up when you don't want to, pushing forward when every excuse feels reasonable, choosing effort when comfort is begging you to stay still. Waiting delays pain, but discipline transforms it. One postpones growth, the other demands it. The pain of discipline is sharp but temporary. It shows up early. It makes you uncomfortable right away. Waking up before you're ready, doing the work when no one is watching, staying committed when motivation disappears, all hurt in the moment. But that pain has an expiration date. It strengthens you. It builds resilience, confidence, and self-respect. You feel the cost up front, and then you reap the reward quietly over time. The pain of comfort is the opposite. It feels good now and hurts later. It shows up disguised as ease, convenience, and relaxation. You don't feel the damage immediately because it doesn't challenge you. It doesn't demand anything from you. But over time, comfort weakens your edge. Skills dull, ambition softens. The fire that once pushed you forward starts to fade, not because you failed, but because you stopped feeding it. That delayed pain is heavier because it comes with regret. What makes this trade so dangerous is that comfort doesn't feel like a decision. It feels like default. You don't wake up and say, "Today I choose to stay stuck." You simply avoid discomfort one small choice at a time. You hit snooze. You postpone the hard conversation. You delay the first step. Each choice seems harmless on its own, but together they form a lifestyle built around avoiding resistance. And a life without resistance never grows strong. Discipline, on the other hand, is intentional. It requires you to act without applause, to commit without guarantees, to push forward without certainty. It doesn't negotiate with your mood. It doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Discipline is the decision to do what needs to be done even when comfort is offering you an easier alternative. And every time you choose discipline, you prove to yourself that you are capable of more than what feels good in the moment. The hardest part is that comfort lies about what it's protecting you from. It tells you discomfort equals danger, when in reality discomfort is often the doorway to expansion. Growth has always required friction. Muscles grow through resistance. Character forms through challenge. Purpose is revealed through struggle. When you avoid that struggle, you don't avoid pain, you just postpone it. And when it arrives, it carries the weight of lost time and unrealized potential. In the end, everyone pays a price. You either pay early through effort, focus, and sacrifice, or you pay later through frustration, regret, and wondering what could have been. The pain of discipline asks something of you now, but it gives back tenfold. The pain of comfort asks nothing up front, but it takes everything slowly, quietly, while you're busy waiting for the moment that never arrives. Purpose is not patient. It doesn't sit quietly in the corner waiting for you to feel ready. It calls early, often before you feel qualified, before you feel confident, before you feel prepared. And when that call is delayed, something subtle but tragic begins to happen. Purpose doesn't disappear all at once, it erodes. What was once sharp becomes dull. What was once urgent becomes negotiable. And the longer it's postponed, the more distant it feels, until one day it no longer sounds like a calling, but like a memory. Most people don't abandon their purpose intentionally. They postpone it with good reasons. Responsibilities, fear, logic, the need for security. They tell themselves they'll return to it when life slows down, when conditions improve, when they have more time, more money, more confidence. But life rarely creates perfect windows. It creates moments, and those moments require action. When action doesn't come, purpose begins to weaken, not because it wasn't real, but because it wasn't honored. There is a cost to delay that goes beyond lost time. When you repeatedly ignore what you're meant to do, you start losing connection to who you're meant to be. Purpose fuels identity. It gives direction to effort and meaning to sacrifice. Without it, motion becomes busy work. Days fill up, but fulfillment stays empty. You may still function, succeed even, but something feels off because success without purpose feels hollow. It looks good from the outside and feels incomplete on the inside. Purpose delayed also creates internal conflict. Deep down, you know there's more in you. You feel it when things go quiet. You feel it when you see others doing what you once dreamed of doing. And that tension doesn't go away. It turns into restlessness, frustration, sometimes even resentment. Not toward others, but toward yourself. Because the hardest person to outrun is the one you were supposed to become. What makes delay so dangerous is that purpose has seasons. Some opportunities are tied to energy, youth, timing, or specific circumstances that don't repeat. Certain doors only open once, and when that moment passes, purpose doesn't always knock the same way again. It may return in a different form, smaller, quieter, or harder to recognize. Not because life is cruel, but because momentum was lost. Purpose needs movement to stay alive. There's also a psychological toll. Each time you delay acting on what matters most, you send yourself a message that your calling can wait. Over time, that message becomes belief. You start to see your purpose as optional rather than essential. And once that happens, it's easy to settle, easy to lower expectations, easy to accept a version of life that fits comfortably but never truly satisfies. Purpose denied doesn't always look like failure. Often it looks like normalcy, a routine life, predictable days, safe choices. And that's what makes it so dangerous. There's no obvious collapse, no dramatic warning. Just a slow drift away from what could have been. And one day, reflection arrives uninvited, asking questions that have no easy answers. Acting on purpose doesn't require certainty. It requires courage. Courage to move while afraid. Courage to start imperfectly. Courage to choose alignment over approval. The moment you honor your purpose with action, it grows stronger. Clarity sharpens. Confidence follows. But when you continue to delay, purpose doesn't wait patiently. It fades quietly until the life you're living no longer resembles the one you were meant to build. Urgency is not panic, and action is not recklessness. Urgency is awareness. It's the clear understanding that this moment matters more than you think. That now is not just a passing point in time, but a decision, making space. Most people live as if life is generous with chances, as if tomorrow is guaranteed and next year is promised. That assumption quietly dulls the instinct to act. When urgency disappears, intention becomes lazy and potential stays locked behind good excuses. The idea of someday is comforting because it removes pressure. Someday gives you permission to delay responsibility. It allows you to feel hopeful without being accountable. You can dream without sweating, plan without risk, and imagine success without discomfort. But someday is an illusion that steals power from the present. The only time you can actually do anything is now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow. And every time you trade now for someday, you weaken your ability to move when it truly matters. Action creates a chain reaction that thinking alone never will. The first step changes you, not the result. Movement sharpens focus, exposes weaknesses, builds resilience, and reveals opportunities that were invisible while you stood still. Waiting for certainty is often just fear dressed up as wisdom. Certainty comes after action, not before it. You don't get confident and then move. You move, survive the discomfort, and confidence is built in the process. There is also a spiritual cost to ignoring urgency. Deep down, people know when they are supposed to act. That inner push, that quiet nudge, that restlessness that doesn't go away is not random. It's awareness knocking. And when you ignore it repeatedly, something inside starts to go numb. Passion fades. Sensitivity dulls. What once felt urgent starts to feel distant. Not because it lost importance, but because you trained yourself not to respond. Now is powerful because it is raw and unfinished. It doesn't come with guarantees or perfect conditions. It asks for faith, not comfort. Acting now means accepting imperfection, risking embarrassment, and stepping forward without applause. That's why most people avoid it. They want the reward without exposure. They want progress without vulnerability. But urgency demands honesty. It demands that you admit time is moving whether you move or not. There is a difference between being busy and being decisive. Many people stay active to avoid committing. They prepare endlessly, gather information, refine plans, but never cross the line into action. Urgency cuts through that noise. It forces a choice. It asks you to stop hiding behind preparation and step into responsibility. Because preparation without execution is just another form of delay. Life responds to action. Opportunities align with momentum, not intention. Doors open when they hear footsteps, not wishes. The world does not reward potential, it responds to movement. When you act now, you signal seriousness. You separate yourself from the crowd of people who talk, plan, and wait. You become someone who moves despite fear, despite doubt, despite incomplete answers. Urgency is not about rushing your life. It's about respecting it. It's understanding that every day you delay, you are voting against the future you claim to want. Now is the only moment that can carry your courage, your discipline, and your decision forward. And the moment you stop waiting for the perfect time, you realize the perfect time was never ahead of you. It was always asking for your attention right here.